evening. Good to have you with us in the 8 p.m. edition of the Urban Debate. Viewers, one of the categories that has had it the toughest since the pandemic hit us has been the students section. The students, the youngsters of our country, their entire schedule was completely thrown into chaos. There was so much of uncertainty. There is still so much of uncertainty around academic sessions, admissions, exams because of the COVID pandemic. And to add to that uncertainty, chaos, and stress is also the fact that now there is a big question mark on the government's EWS quota policy. And up until that gets clarified and the government decides on what it really wants its policy to be, the future of almost 1.6 lakh candidates for NEET hangs in balance. This is the NEET PG admissions, the postgraduate NEET admissions, which under normal circumstances, the process would have started today. It has now been pushed by another 4 weeks. The NEET exams kept getting rescheduled. Finally, they took place. Now, the admission process has been rescheduled. Effectively, by the time this process actually begins and gets done, we may actually be looking at a possibility of one entire academic year gone and lost. Now, why is it happening? What's the policy contention that the government needs to look at right now? The government came up with the EWS quota, the economically weaker section quota, which is then challenged in the court. And a couple of things were sought by the petitioners. It's a bunch of petitioners. One of the contentious issues with this new quota is the income ceiling. So for eligibility, as an eligibility criteria, the law says that you're eligible if your annual income is up to 8 lakh rupees. That's the law. Many are saying this ceiling is too high, while your quota is of 10% for EWS is too small. Now for center, the ceiling is the same as it is for eligibility under the OBC quota. But then comes the question that there you're giving 27% reservation, here it is only 10%. And this issue reached the top court. The center was supposed to respond. There were delays that took place last month. They could have submitted an affidavit. They didn't. They did so today. And they said they will relook at the eligibility criteria, at the income cap, income ceiling eligibility criteria, and see if that needs to change. And so the admission process for NEET PG has been deferred by 4 weeks. Now, the government will have to set up a committee, look into the issue, and come up with exhaustive explanation on whatever they decide to do. The Supreme Court has sought also answers to a series of questions on this entire exercise. Now that petitions questioning the rationale, the rules, the clauses, the criteria of EWS are in the top court, the Supreme Court wants to know, did the government undertake any exercise before arriving at this criteria? The Supreme Court wants to know, is the EWS criteria based on the Sinha Commission report? And they've also asked, is it arbitrary to provide similar income limit for EWS or OBC? Did it just happen arbitrarily? Is there a rationale behind it? They also want to know, has the difference in rural and urban purchasing power been factored in? You are saying 8 lakh rupees as your annual income is the ceiling, and below that you're eligible. But are you factoring in that in cities and in villages, your salary levels may be different? The Supreme Court also wants to know, how did the government arrive at the asset exception rule? And why doesn't the residential flat criteria differentiate again between metros and non-metros? One of the rules is ownership. If you own a flat, whether you're eligible or not. And the court is asking, should it not be different for metros and non-metros? So there are several questions that have been put forth that will eventually get discussed. The government will give its stand, and we'll see what happens in the court next. But tonight we're going to focus on two key things. One is the rule itself. Does the government need to cut the EWS income ceiling, lower it, and the overall impact on students? Could this have been avoided if the government had responded earlier? Already, so much of back and forth on admissions, on exams due to the pandemic. Is this making it worse? We want to hear from you. We're opening up our phone lines. You can call us. You can share your views. If you are a student, an aspirant who's been affected, a parent of an aspirant who's been affected, do share your views. Let me say good evening to Anubha Shrivastava Sahai, President for India Wide Parents Association, Kapil Gupta, CEO for NEETPrep.com, Professor C.B. Sharma, educationist, professor at the School of Education in IGNOU, former chairperson of NIOS. Subin Sabu joins us this evening, waited for almost 1 year for NEET PG admission, got a rank, gave the exam, and now, of course, there's a big question mark. Many of such students out there today. Our phone lines are open. Let's start with Subin, with you. First, let's talk about how the year has been for you, the various delays, confusions, changes in schedule that have happened so far, and now this fresh change.
Hello, ma'am. I am Subin. I am batch 2K14 batch from JIPMER. I have been immensely affected by these postponements. Already it is 1 year late. This NEET PG happened. This exam already 1 year it was postponed, and now again this counseling process is also delayed. So we are in immense stress. Mentally also very stressed. Economically also we are in stress. Not only me, most of my friends, around 1,60,000 students wrote this NEET PG exam, and around 80,000 or 1 lakh students qualified for this exam. And this much students are waiting for this counseling to happen. This exam, NEET PG exam, was supposed to happen 1 year back, but due to COVID and all, this was postponed around 2 times. It was postponed, and now this, after everything, after suffering this much, after giving everything, after giving this exam, this counseling happened. Counseling also continuously getting postponed because of the negligence from government side and all. I don't know why they are putting us in this much mental stress.
Subin, how did you manage, in the last 1 year with your preparations? Since the dates kept changing, the plans kept changing, how
Yes,
did you
ma'am.
go about dealing with it?
It was extremely difficult for us. First of all, when the exam date was changing, the government said they will not give us an exact date when will the exam happen next. That also, it was immensely confusing. Like, if they postpone, they should at least tell us that when is the exam postponed to, what date that exam is postponed, but they will not tell that also. So that time also we were under extreme stress. This PG preparation studies itself is a stress. On top of that, this exam date change, everything, COVID, everything was putting us in extreme mental stress. We were actually in depression because of this.
I can imagine it must have been extremely unsettling, not knowing what, when, and seeing that precious time of your life, these precious months of in your initial years getting wasted like that. Kapil, let's try and also put this in perspective for a lot of these 1 lakh students that we're talking about. By now, under normal circumstances, they would well be in that course, studying, but it looks like they're now going to end up losing 1 entire year for various reasons.
That is true, Tanvi. There is this situation where if you look at the correspondences, the discussions that have been happening between Solicitor General and the judges on the bench, it seems they're almost curiously asking, okay, you put 8 lakh, at least tell us what has happened. And this curious discussion has ended up delaying everything so much. Subin talked about NEET PG. There are 8 lakh NEET UG aspirants who are waiting because the same thing might end up getting used as a precedent for NEET UG case as well, because this OBC an EWS reservation in All India Counselling was also introduced for NEET UG aspirants for the first time this year. So 8 lakh aspirants there, 80,000 on this side. And the worst part about this whole thing is there is zero communication happening either from the Education Ministry or from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, which is responsible for this counseling process. So the challenge is there is this almost humorous thing that is going on, that there is some kind of discussion happening between judges and the Solicitor General, and these 8.8 lakh people are like, guys, do you know how serious this is? You just say 4 weeks, and 4 weeks means the counseling which was supposed to happen in October is going to start in January next year. It's almost comical.
Yeah, I mean, if it does, after 4 weeks, the government comes back with a thought about whether they want to lower the criteria or not and to what. And then they will have to make changes in the law. It's a constitutional process. That will have to be done. It's a bill. And only after that will they be able to determine another date to start the entire counseling process. And maybe somebody else by then would have landed in court questioning it again. Professor Sharma, what I want to highlight here, before we get into the merits of what the contentious issue is the lack of urgency. To me, it seems that the government is not sensing that urgency with which they need to decide on it or even inform the court and fast-track this entire issue.
Thank you very much. I think you have summarized everything by saying, who cares about the students? You said that the community which has suffered most because of pandemic is of the student community. Who cares about the student? Because they don't matter to you. They are not hospitalized. That is why you are not worried in this country because of for the students. Last year, you will remember when the NEET exams were to be conducted and people were saying, postpone it. We were on television channels supporting it must be organized, because the argument we gave was, give us time to teach the students. How will you expect us to complete the syllabus in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? The government will keep postponing. How would we complete the syllabus? And if we don't, how do we make a doctor? 2030, when patients die because of doctors who don't understand, they don't know, who would be blamed? You can't see the disease today. You will realize it 25, 30, when these doctors are not able to cure patients because they are not treated well or they are not exactly taught well. Now, I have some pertinent question, very fundamental question. It is judges versus government, or the court versus government.
Yeah.
Where are the teachers? Where are the pedagogues who understand what is exam? The government decides a date, announces it, and suddenly at the nick of time cancels it. Don't forget, next month by 19th of December, the code of conduct will be implemented because of UP elections. And then government will not be able to declare the new EWS norm. And then it will go for 4 months till March 2023. You are not realizing that you are very fast getting into that very crucial period when the UP elections will be announced, and then government cannot amend the EWS criteria. Who will be the sufferer? The students, the nation. But who is worried about them? Because the children of the rich and the affluent don't study in this country. They study abroad. So they are messing up with the academia. I am very upset that dates are constantly being revised. Why? Do you understand the pressure on the students? I have seen students from secondary and senior secondary. They have gone into depression because the dates were constantly changed, withdrawn, revised. This is very, very important in academia. When I decide a date for exam, I have to stand by it, because all the students come and tell me, sir, please postpone it. I am not well. My mother is not well. My father is ill. But we have to stick to it. Nobody wants to appear for an exam. The government is very tentative. And I'm not talking about only the central government. I'm talking about all government. Education is nobody's priority, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I must say, because decisions are not taken by those who are the stakeholders, the students, the teachers, the academics, the professors, the universities, those who have nothing to do with actual teaching learning, who have to do with the board, who care about how would the people respond to the government, the party in power. I am very upset that decisions are being taken on political grounds or not academic grounds. If the EWS criteria was to be revised, why was it not revised before? Who decided on it? 1, 2. We get students from EWS. Now, if you decide about them at class 6 level and give them support, you hand us over students deciding on criteria yourself, and we find that they cannot be transacted, the curriculum for which they have been admitted, on political grounds, not academic grounds. I'm very firm that government must give up on it. Let academics decide. Let academia decide that the criteria, the guidelines should be prepared by those who have to teach and learn, and not by those who are in the government, who have to decide or who have to care about the votes.
So, which is why the Supreme Court actually asked, and in fact, in the initial days of hearing, they also made it very clear that they don't want to get into the sphere of policy making, and that's not what the court is looking at. But they want to understand where these criteria have come from, because obviously a bunch of students and their lawyers have gone to the court. So the court needs to understand what was the scientific study done, what were the deliberations done, conversations with stakeholders done, what's the basis of this rule. And I was looking at the timeline. On September 17, the top court agreed to hear a batch of pleas of students against the July 29th notice. On October 7, the top court posed these questions about the rule itself to the centre. On October 21st, the Supreme Court asked the centre if it would like to revisit the 8 lakh annual income fix for this criteria. Before that, the government had kept saying that no, this is based on the National Cost of Living Index. This is what we've decided. This is how we've done it. Today, the government goes back and says, okay, you asked us. We are now going to revisit it. And we'll take 4 more weeks. It's unfortunately a tariq pe tariq kind of a classic situation evolving in a scenario where it shouldn't. Because, you know, students' lives and their future and their academics is at risk. I want to go to Anubha, but very quickly. Kapil, you wanted to make a point?
Yeah, just wanted to say that there has to be some solution to it. Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court is not going to step back. Government has said 4 weeks. In case of NEET PG, 50% of the seats are allocated by the state. In case of NEET UG, 85% are allocated by the state. At least let's get done with it so that at least this process starts and students start getting into the colleges rather than postpone everything till the time this whole thing which has evolved out of, we have made a hill out of a mole. Let it settle down, and in the meantime, NEET UG 85% of allocations and NEET PG 50% of allocations can start right away.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying for where it's not applicable, at least those admissions and allocations should start right away. But the point is that certain people would need to also know, Kapil, whether they come under this criteria or not. And if you're going to change the criteria altogether, they may fall out of the ambit of EWS. And by then, if the rest of the admissions are done, then they're left with no options. So it will be a small number of students, but it's going to be, it won't be fair on them either.
No, Tanvi, what happens is, the history of this is, in 1986, Supreme Court through a guideline said All India Counselling provides for doctors without domicile purely based on merit. In 2007, so it was completely without reservation. In 2007, 15% for SC and 7.5% for ST was added. OBC EWS still did not exist. So states have been allocating based on OBC and EWS anyways. The central allocation, All India Counselling, is what is under dispute. The state allocation of OBC and EWS is not in dispute and is not under any litigation.
Right.
Yes.
Right. It is the centre's allocation dated July 29th. That's the notice that is under dispute right now. What do we do now?
Right, I agree, Tanvi. It's a very serious issue, and I don't know why government is not taking it seriously. They are taking it lightly. They have already delayed it in Honorable Supreme Court. They have taken almost 1 month's time. They should have submitted the affidavit long time back, but they have not done. And now again today SG was clueless. Solicitor General was clueless. He said, I have to take instruction. Even today, government is not aware or they are not prepared. What are they going to do? So another 1 month's time they are going to take. So this all will, this is going to impact students, their academic career, and not only students who have qualified PG, resident doctors are also suffering. Resident doctors who are waiting, they are also in pipeline. They are waiting that yes, once the new batch comes, they will get, they will move ahead. So not only students who have qualified this exam, NEET PG, even resident doctors are waiting. And it's a big chaos. I think government is least bothered. I don't know why they're not taking it seriously. As Kapil sir has said, I think whatever quota is there with state governments, whatever policy is there with state government, they should go ahead with that. And rest, whatever is in litigation, he has said that 25%, I'm not aware about the percentage. Whatever percentage is with the central government, that should be, which is under litigation, only that should be not considered as of now. And counseling for state, all the state quota should begin, so that at least 50% and 75% students should get accommodated in colleges, and they will start their academic career. So
Okay, let me ask this. Actually, what now has been made as a suggestion by two panelists. Let me ask Subin. Subin, is that something that's workable to say, okay, let's start part of the process on the state's quota, let's start the admissions?
Big solution now actually. In this situation, that is very good. Because usually first this thing, all India quota counseling happens, then only the state counseling will happen usually till last year. But because today this issue is there, they should first start the state counseling, because it is not affected by this issue. This reservation issue is not affected to the state counseling. So the state counseling should start. And also the ma'am pointed out that about the PG residents, they are also suffering a lot because of this, because the PGs are the main workforce in a hospital. They are the most worked people in hospital. So they also are in big trouble because our batch is not there for helping them. So that is also a big issue. So the government, at least the state counseling should start immediately. They should not hold the state counseling. Because 50% seats are there in state. So that is also a huge number of seats many people are waiting for that also. So why unnecessarily they are blocking that state counseling also? I am not understanding that, why they are doing that.
Yeah, could there be an explanation for that, Professor Sharma, to, to put everything blanket on hold?
No, I don't like that. I completely agree with this solution that those who are eligible and where there is no issue of admission, they must be admitted and classes must start. Don't forget, if 1 lakh doctors are not studying for a month, how many candidates are there? How? Now, obvious question is, what will happen to those who are admitted late? They will be given extra time and extra coaching, and through that we will be able to compensate for the loss. But compensating for the whole group will be difficult. So I completely agree with this solution that classes must start. I think a very good solution has come that we must admit and start classes. That will also have a pressure on the courts and the government, central government. Unless and until governments are under pressure, they don't work. They don't work. Again, I will repeat, students are nobody's concern. Because they don't look ill. You don't realize your students are ill. And if they don't learn, how would they perform? So I believe this is a brilliant solution. Admissions must take place for those who don't come under this category, and classes must start. Then the pressure will mount. It is important to start teaching learning process. I will also like to add one more thing. Let courts hear this on a day-to-day basis. If media makes any impact on decision making, let this discussion be heard by the judges, honorable judges, and realize that we, the teachers, are pained by this. You
Right.
give 1 month time to the government. What will government do in 1 month? Is it such a big exercise that they have to do? Why? And then they will come up with a problem, new problem. I'm telling you, the UP elections, as soon as it is declared, the government will not be able to take a decision. So it must be heard on day-to-day basis. It's the issue or question of millions of students who are suffering, and the nation cannot be taken on board.
But I suspect, though, Professor Sharma, that even if the courts were to take this case up on a day-to-day basis, which actually should have happened earlier itself when they went right away, and the petitioners at least should have made an attempt, maybe they did, I am a little unaware there, to highlight the urgency in this case. The courts may not be aware, but the urgency of the case has to be highlighted to the entire nation, to the government and to the courts. Now that the government has said we need 1 month to relook at the policy, I don't know how much the courts can push it to say, no, do it faster. Because at the end of the day, the question is about the policy, the merits of the policy. Did you have enough data with you? Did you do enough research? Did you get enough scientific evidence to say this should be the policy? And that becomes the other point. And here, Kapil, I want to bring you in on the process itself to design this policy, because the court has asked some very interesting questions. When you're deciding on this criteria, are you factoring in metro versus non-metro? Are you factoring in urban versus rural? Things perhaps we don't know if we were factored in, but there is a great difference that happens because in this region.
Absolutely true. So all those things, rural versus urban, EWS is 8 lakh per annum. You own less than 5 acres of land, or you stay in a place which is lesser than 1,000 square feet. So all of these are interesting things. But for me, the fascinating thing again is, if you look at Justice Chandrachud raising questions to Solicitor General, it is almost like he's saying, you know what, we are not in the business of making policy. We are just trying to see if constitutional provisions are being met. And you know what, come back to us. And this to and fro, which almost seems, it doesn't seem serious enough, has been going on for 2 months now. So I don't know what to comment upon with respect to reservation. I think there are social scientists and other people. There is this whole issue of OBC creamy layer exactly falling in that 8 lakh criteria. If you do it 7.99 lakh, probably the problem gets solved. But I don't think the challenge is, I don't think anyone is in problem solving mode right now. There is a real problem right now. These kids, it is absolutely, it is huge amount of mental pressure. You gave the exam after multiple postponements. Now this counseling was supposed to start. There is absolutely no date. At least come out with a date and say, you know what, we'll try and start there. There is absolute silence on the part of Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So, and there is a solution. You go to state and start doing it. Give admission to state people. Because of COVID, all the classes have virtual class infrastructure available. Those who are not able to take admission, attend those classes. When they can attend, continue, and you have game on. So all these solutions are possible, but someone needs to get into the mode of problem solving, because there is a huge problem at hand. It's just that these are students, and the problem is not getting enough attention right now.
Yeah, these are students. Nobody really wants to talk about them. Nobody really wants to give it that kind of attention, and which is where we are stuck. And actually, this is the second such example we've seen where conversations are happening in courts, where governments are being asked the right questions by the courts, but unfortunately, governments are perhaps not the right entities to answer those questions, because you will need experts really to tell you what the reality is and what would be a good policy to implement on ground. Now, let me ask you this, Kapil. What happens for the next batch? By now, the next batch would be well, deep into its preparations for the next round of exam and admissions. And we seem to be headed in a place where maybe both successive year batches will end up together in the same quarter.
So Tanvi, I think we can't blame the government that much, because there is some amount of cascading which is going to happen. So if you look at UG, 2020 happened in September, 2021 happened in September. Generally, it happens in first week of May. I don't think next year they can conduct it in May. Probably they'll try and pull it up to July or August. And in a couple of years, we will settle down to that original date. Their government cannot be blamed as such, but this particular counseling thing, which is going to push the pressure, push the government to do the exam a little later, this seems to be a self goal more than anything else. That is the tragedy of it. Otherwise, these exams getting postponed, this is something which is definitely not perfectly in the
No, a
hands
lot
of
of
the
it, you're
government.
right. A lot of it is not in the hands. And I'm not just talking from the point of view of making, the government a villain here or blaming a specific entity. But it just helps us put the picture, the larger picture in perspective. The fact that there are already so many delays that have happened, a delay that could have well been avoided, or a confusion that could have been well avoided with better communication, with faster responses, fast tracking this case, that has not happened. Let me also right now bring in Professor Govardhan Das, BJP leader, professor for molecular medicine at JNU, joining me this evening. I also have Mamta Sharma, advocate with the Supreme Court of India, and Charu Mathur, advocate also with the Supreme Court, joining me this evening. Let me ask this question to Professor Das. Professor Das, at least 1 lakh students, a lot more, as our panelists are pointing out, their future hangs in balance. And we're treating this case also like another Tariq pe Tariq case. Another 4 weeks, another 4 weeks. No, this policy is fine. Wait, we may look at this policy again. We will come back to you with another answer 4 weeks later. Are we not realizing that we're playing with the lives of students?
Good evening. As you know, this is the EWS. The policy has been praised by Supreme Court, and it says the enabling and progressive. There is certainly there is some concern from some people that 8 lakh bar per capita income or something. But as you know, that the government is always trying to do their best, and they are sensitive to the issues of citizen, and they are trying to revisit the issue for 8 lakh cap. So therefore, probably 4 weeks not really a big issue. When we are trying to do something with the perfection, see, this is nobody is perfect, but we try to be the close to perfection. So basically, 4 weeks not a big deal. I don't think, as long as we are
Professor
trying our
Das,
best.
you are a teacher yourself. You're a professor yourself in a college who deals and engages with students on a daily basis. You're telling me that in a pandemic year, where exams have been delayed for various reasons, where there's been so much of uncertainty, when we finally gotten around to getting admissions done now, much, much later, we are pushing it by 4 more weeks, by the way, not just 4 weeks, 4 more weeks. And 4 more weeks later, the government, Professor Das, will actually come and tell the Supreme Court on what they think the policy needs to be. And then there will be more conversations and more hearings. And whatever the government decides, the government will have to go back, change the law, get it approved by the cabinet, bring it into the parliament, then legally notify it. Then only you can start with the admission process. So it's not just 4 weeks, actually.
Government assured to come back and in 4 weeks. Number one. Number two, when we are trying to do, when the government is trying to do its best with, see, nobody is perfect. Nobody can assure there's some error. There is no error. But when we are trying to do at the best, that less error or to the near to perfection, the 4 weeks maybe, let 4 weeks delay. See, during the COVID-19 cases, what we saw last 1.5 years, almost the 2 years, there is everything being delayed with everything delayed. So basically, when it already been delayed, 4 more weeks is I don't think makes much difference, as long as we are doing something creative.
Okay, let me see if I can go across to Charu Mathur, who's a petitioner in this case. Thank you so much for joining us, Charu Mathur. There are 2 aspects to what we're debating here tonight. One, of course, is the fact that how it impacts the students, the uncertainty, the fact that after these many weeks, the government has now said, okay, we're going to put the counseling process on hold, give us 4 more weeks, and if we could have fast-tracked this in any manner. The second is the merit of it, the merit of the rule itself, and whether it should be lowered. What are your views?
See, we have challenged two petitions on two grounds. First is OBC reservation and second is EWS reservation. Right now, court is considering EWS reservation, though OBC reservation is also there. They will be coming on that aspect also. And in two writs, one, we are saying that your constitutional amendment itself is wrong. And in second, we are saying that at least don't implement for this year, because these exams were notified already in March, and then because of the second wave, these exams got delayed, and subsequently in July, this notification had come. So our take is like, at least for this year, it should not be implemented. And if you look at the Sino Commission's report, it does not talk about reservation, it talks about giving incentives. Secondly, if you look at the 8 lakh limits, what is our main argument is even for their income tax are limited 5 lakh rupees. So if a person is earning around 70,000 rupees per month, he or she cannot be put in the EWS quota range, right? So these are essentially the challenge. As far as you're talking about this medical year getting waste, so I am in agreement with you that students are facing a lot of uncertainties, and not just these students, those students who are already doing their duties. So till the input comes, output cannot go. So that is another aspect. But as told by Mr. Solicitor General also very fairly, if the government takes some decision, it can come before 6th January. They can come before that also. So right now, what the court has given is a big thing, and what government has also come with is that they are not taking, they are going to revise the criteria which they have put of 8 lakh.
There are some views here on the panel that says, why do we have to put on hold everything? Could we not have progress with the state admissions? There is a blanket hold and nationwide admission process right now, while this back and forth goes on. Was that necessary?
Yeah, see, you look, we have got all India quota admissions also. AIQ is also there. So there is a process of the counseling also. So what seats they don't remain, then they go back to the state. So you cannot just go and do state counseling and don't do the other. It is one process. It has to go in one go. But I am in agreement that at least for this year's students, something could be done, because government will also take some time to do the exercise, because last time when the issues were framed by the court, they had specifically asked what exercise you have taken to arrive at this number. How do you determine? And even looking at the demographics, like what is, like if you are earning 10,000 rupees in tier 2 or tier 3 city, it is fine. But that same thing might not be able to help you sustain in a Delhi or Bombay, in a metro cities. So you have to do that kind of a study, and it will take some time. So at least for this year, I think the students without this amendment, without this thing, they should go. This is what my views are.
Okay, so you say without amendments this time it should just continue, because the government, and obviously this entire exercise is going to take some time. Now, this will have to be raised because this is in court now. Mamta Sharma, this is in court now, and at some point this conversation will have to be brought in front of the judges who are hearing this case. Because the government has very conveniently just said, oh, we'll take four more weeks and then we'll come back and think about it. Should the court by then look at other forms of relief for the 1 lakh students who are currently waiting and wondering what's going to happen next?
See, whenever a court is considering any matter, they have to look into all the aspects, because just they can't go with one aspect. And somehow I would certainly feel that there was a delay from the government's end, because last year when initially, because of the pressure of students who were demanding the implementation of the constitutional amendment, Madras High Court has decided the issue, and that they said that probably for the next academic year, for 2021 and 22, they should be implemented. But at that time, there was a delay from the center's end. So there is other category of students who are actually demanding that no, this should be implemented. So when court is considering the issue, they would consider it as a whole. So subsequently in future, those issues will not be reopened. So because of that, time, but one good thing is there in the petitioners, because the senior advocate Arvind Datta, who was appearing for the petitioners, he himself said that yes, there shouldn't be further delay, and probably we can implement it for the next academic session, not for this year, because yes, 4 weeks time is not sufficient. And apart from that,
again, there is no surety that after 4 weeks we'll be able to take the decision on that specific date. It is actually going to take time. So when it's a policy matter, you just can't take a decision in a hurry and within few days. It just can't happen that way.
Yes, Charu, you wanted to add something to this?
Yeah, this is what even court said, that because today this suggestion had come from the government that they are willing to revisit this criteria, and court is trying to balance everything. At one point of a time, thought was there that if we can do for this year also, but if they do it for this year also, because already constitutional amendment is there, right? So that will be changing lot many things. It won't be only specific to this admission of the NEET test. It will impact the entire gamut of the things, like your admissions, your service, your promotion. So it is not just one exam that the court is considering, and I think we should have a resolution, quite early resolution I'm looking for, because I understand students are facing a lot of issues regarding this.
So you're saying that the petitioners would look to go to the court and say, you know, let's not wait for this year, let the process continue, because as we speak, the entire admission process, counseling process as it's called, is on hold.
Right. This is what we made the request through our senior counsel, Mr. Datta, today also. But court said that they have come with this suggestion that they are open to revisit the criteria that they have laid down, because they found merit, even the government found merit of this 8 lakh limit to be arbitrary. Right? They are relying on a Sino Commission report which does not say that you give reservation. It only talks about incentives. Right? It does not say how you can make it more welfare. So they have to have some criteria. I mean, there has to be some basis for whatever reservations you are talking. And remember, right now, even OBC reservations are not touched. So if you look at Indira Swani's, like 50% limit will be crossed like anything.
Yeah.
Right? So that is only one aspect is being looked at.
Yes, you know, that's the most important part, only one aspect. And then, so it's not to say that even if the government comes back with its thoughts on this specific rule, the matter ends here. And it's a very, very complex, complicated issue. There are so many nuances and multiple criteria itself that have been challenged, you know, by the petitioners that the courts will have to look at, and they will take the time to understand the policy, the rationale behind the policy. So it is going to take a long time. Meanwhile, what happens to the students? That's the big question then that we are asking tonight. Now let's talk about the contentious rule. And Mamta Sharma, you know, help our viewers understand why this ceiling of 8 lakh needs to be lower.
Because whenever you decide and when you put a cap to anything, then there has to be a rationale behind it. If you are talking about in India, putting the category of 8 lakh limits, we really don't find any rationale, because if a person is certainly earning 70,000 per month, and still if that person is coming in the EWS category, I really don't think that anybody is going to agree, because if you're talking about economically weaker section, then that criteria should be genuine. Then that benefit should actually come to the needy people. And this is what they have raised, that there's no rationale. And when we talk about Article 14, then certainly this it doesn't fall. It is actually arbitrary. You can certainly make special criteria for the people who actually deserve it, but you must come up with valid reasons. That's why, court also said that you must revisit and come up with a proper rationale and thinking why 8 lakhs. What is the exact reason behind it?
Anuba Sai, would you want to come in here on the rule itself, and if it indeed is too wide and it essentially takes away from the idea of helping the economically weaker section?
Yeah, definitely. Many people, like as far as RTE in school is concerned, RTE quota is also there in schools. And many people, because in RTE also they have increased the limit till 8 lakhs in urban areas. So many parents are taking benefit of that. And the children who are economically weak, they are not getting admission under RTE quota. Same thing will happen to these students of this NEET PG students also will face, even NEET UG also, because a similar rule has been framed for NEET UG. So the students who are economically weak and who belongs to economically weaker section, they will suffer, because many students who are in urban areas and their parents are doing well, there are many students or parents are not earning even 1 lakh per annum. So they should come under economically. If you will increase the limit till 8 lakhs, then definitely many students right from KG to PG will be barred from education. They will not get good education in our country because they don't have money to study. So as far as education is concerned, government can open many government schools, the government colleges. Instead of giving all these quotas and all, they should focus on improving the infrastructure of government schools and colleges, because we don't have many government colleges, medical colleges, engineering colleges. That's why students are facing these problems and EWS quota is being introduced. So I think instead of focusing on quota and all, government should help students, and they should open more government colleges and schools.
No, that is true, and that's true for all governments. That's what at some point one would hope that they focus more on creating that infrastructure, good quality educational institutions. But then that doesn't get you votes. What gets you votes essentially are schemes that grab the eyeballs and say, oh, this is what is being done for us. We can see this. But Professor Das, let's talk about it, because there is quite a bit of debate on saying 8 lakh as the income ceiling is too high. Who is it that you're trying to help when the quota itself is 10%?
See, this is what we are talking about. There was a committee and the 8 lakh in a previous hearing on 7th October. Government says this is the reason and the statistics they will provide. So let the reason and the statistics they come in. And also, this is not this arbitrary number. It is after studying all the issues and all the statistics, the committee decided that the 8 lakh number. And I understand the government is sensitive to issues and responsive to the citizens, and government is ready to revisit the issue. And that's what they're revisiting again.
But so look at how we've landed in a messy situation, and then the government is finding its sensitivity, Professor Das. If it was, it could have done this much earlier, and by now we would know where the students are getting their admission.
No.
And we need more doctors also.
If you the 7 lakh, you could have asked. You could have said the same thing. You would have said the same thing. So if it is a 5 lakh, you would have said the same thing.
No, but the government could have responded this way in September itself, not today, not on 25th of November, but on September. Not one day before, not on the day actually that the counselling process was going to start. The government found its sensitivity on the day that the counselling process was going to start across the country, Professor Das.
And we need doctors, Tanvi. We need doctors in our country.
Yeah, we had a student right now, we had a NEET PG student right now who was telling us of how the resident doctors are also suffering, because by now they would have got another batch of these youngsters helping them out, but they are not. In a country that is constantly starved for medical staff, doctors.
Yes. Whole country is suffering because of such decisions. Whole country is suffering.
When something comes from the court, when is something coming from the citizen, government has to answer the thing.
Sir, there is a delay from your side.
That is what.
Okay. Let me get in a few of our viewers as well who've called us. Allow me to go across to Dr. Sandeep Dhawan, calling us from Chandigarh. Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, Tanvi. I have another point to make. I am not against reservation. I am just about to ask the legal luminaries on the panel that once the game has begun, can the rules be changed? So this exam was supposed to be held on 10th Jan, then postponed to April. This amendment came in July. So had the exam occurred in April or January, this quota would not have been there. Now, once the exam took place, then you reconsider because of any reason. I won't go into the politics of that.
Yes.
And then you say, no, the quota should be there. So in all fairness to these students, about 1 lakh of them who are sitting at home after having cleared the PG exam, so this year should be exempted.
Yes, okay. Fair point that you've raised. I'm going to go across to our legal experts in just a bit, but let me also bring in Abhay Egbote calling us from Hyderabad. Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Good evening. I'm Abhay Egbote. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please. We can hear you.
Yeah. You see, there has got to be consistency in the policy. once a policy is framed, let them not change it at least for the next 3 minimum years. I was a Senate member in Telangana University, and I have found that second is the reservation criteria. 70 years down the line, even today we are same in the education field. Nothing much has changed. You give these people whom you want to give reservations, you give them food, you give them books, you give them extra teaching free of cost, give them hostels, give them everything, food and everything free of cost. When it comes to examination and the selection procedure, only merit should be considered.
Okay, thank you so much for calling, Abhay, and sharing your views. Let me now go across to our experts on what the previous panel caller was asking us. Charu Mathur, would you like to take this question? Can we change the rules once the game has begun?
Absolutely, that is what our defense is. Once the game has begun, you cannot change the rules. Had these exams were conducted in March itself when they were announced, then nothing would have happened. And just to tell you about 29 July notification, it is a circular by NB. 10% EWS, you are getting 103rd amendment. But this is by just a notification which is issued, not even a notification. It looks like a press release to me. I could not find a notification. You are giving 27% reservation OBC, right? I mean, this is not the way things can be done. And certainly I am of the view, we have filed a petition on that you cannot change the rules of the games once the game has begun. And that is a settled proposition of law.
Yes, and I want to just highlight one more aspect with this, and actually Kapil said it very well. It's about communication. It's about informing people, keeping clarity, those who are involved, telling them what's going on. And this lack of communication that happens from the government's end becomes extremely problematic. Thank you so much to all of you. The issue is not done. We will have more conversations as the hearing continues and the government comes back, because it is also important to go into the merits of the policy itself. The courts will have to look at it any which way since these petitions have been filed. But we will also take it up and bring you all the nuances of the EWS quota, and where there are problems or no problems, what are the various sides saying. The income criteria is just one of them, to say that you must earn up to less than 8 lakh rupees and then you're eligible, or you own a flat which is less than 1,000 square feet and then you're eligible. These criteria about money and assets are what are going to be scrutinized by the Supreme Court as well. And to say if there is scientific backing, if there is good enough facts and data available for the government to have come to this criteria. That debate will continue. For now, my only request would be the courts, the government, that let's fast track this process and let's first decide for the students whose future hangs in balance today. They have already gone through enough stress. They have already lived through enough amount of uncertainty. At a time when they should actually be learning, absorbing more information, becoming better doctors for a better and healthier India tomorrow. At a time of that, we are actually telling them, wait, we still haven't decided. Wait, we need to look at this again. Wait, we didn't plan it right, and so we're going to go back and see what else can be done. Let's find a solution. Let's fast track it. Have the hearings on a faster basis. Let the government, push the government to come out with answers on a faster basis and solve this. For this batch at least, even if you want to take your time to look at the larger policy, take your time to look at the larger policy, but decide for this batch sooner than that. Thank you for joining us on this conversation.